but I'm in the White Dungeon. I feel kind of happy. Hello!
Welcome to another episode
So, Cornback Kings Talk.
I'm your host, Reed.
And it is time for That's So Kings, the podcast.
And let's hop into this
Podcast. For real. Good day, LA. This is episode 5 of That's So Kings, the podcast. A podcast where you can find it on basically any podcatching audio network. Either it's Buzzsprout, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, all those good stuffs. And also Google Play. And also, if you're seeing the visual version of this podcast episode on YouTube, hey, that's great. It'll just be out on a Friday instead of a Thursday. And yes, if you're on YouTube, I'm in the White Dungeon, as I like to call it. I'm in a background full of white, which makes wearing a gray shirt not that great. But getting back to what I'm ready to talk about. And we're going to turn off the fantasy glasses, the rose-colored goody two-shoe, everything. We need to have a honest assessment of what's going on in the real world and where does hockey go from here. I'm not going to be talking Kings specifically. I'll just branch off into big hockey. So if you're in the playlist, go watch another video after this video. That's the YouTube playlist. If you're on an audio network, let's just be honest. This episode, let's hit the prayer switch and let's get started. Let's turn back the clocks to March 12th, 2020, where I was in an islands and heard that the NBA canceled it, suspended the season because Rudy Gobert was a not great role model in terms of social distancing and touching and all that. But that kickstarted all these sports to go off. And hockey, like how they all do, they follow the NBA. That's why I brought up the NBA there. And that night the Kings were playing the Ottawa Senators. And they were riding high. They were coming into a 6-game win streak. And like I said back in my KFR 3, Week in a Nutshell 2 quarantine video, I was just shocked and also saddened because we had this great momentum just halted, and there was no words to describe it. And we were not even truly social distancing. My school I'll leave out for legal and probably smart reasons. Was the last community college, I believe, in LA County to go full online, which which is for another story. But what have the NHL players been doing? They playing Fortnite. They just do streaming. They've been themselves. They've decompressed. Some even went back home to their native land. I know a couple Czechs did, not on the Kings, but maybe a couple Russians did. As all these fun things canceled, the routine of sports having a game every other day in a week was gone. So where did that put hockey? Just like all the others, and it was very weird. I'll give you that. And since my birthday hasn't happened yet, at the day of the recording, and when this publishes, I'll probably be 21. This happens. It was just shocking. No sport hasn't taken this much time off ever. I think the longest time was baseball after 9/11. That's the recent history, and I believe maybe there's a break or a stoppage during World War I or the Spanish flu. But you see, that's how much time assessment we have to do. It is bleeping crazy. Well, thankfully, good news came out. Not as of today, date of recording, but last night, that there's going to be a 2014 bracket, and the Kings are not a part of it. Well, the state of California isn't, because the Kings were terrible and accepted it. The Ducks were boring and terrible. The Sharks were in denial but terrible. That means those three teams plus Ottawa, Detroit, which you can't out-tank, Buffalo, and Ottawa, Detroit, and New Jersey, because they just spiraled. I think it's just you're losing the second biggest revenue state in the U.S. and your biggest hockey market in Buffalo. But getting back to this proposal, the 2014 playoff means those 7 teams don't play, and it'll be either in 2 hub cities, so like Vegas or Orlando. That's what the NBA is thinking about doing. But hockey is like either focusing all in either in Vegas and Edmonton. But you have to ask questions. How are we gonna do hockey when the border's still shut down until the 4th of July probably? And I guess phase 1 is probably training camps, because you got to train. You haven't been playing seriously since March, and you have to probably wait until either President Trump or Prime Minister Trudeau open up the border and deem athletes essential services. And yes, I can see the opposition saying, "Oh, well, what if someone gets the virus?" Well, you run the risk, and you gotta play your cards right, and that's what leagues like the MLB have had and the NBA are doing right now in terms of date of recording. And I bet you the NHL is like that, and I think football's too private, and soccer is getting closer. They have an Orlando plan, but a lot of these hockey is usually played in the winter and in cold. That's the thing. How are you going to do hockey in Vegas in the summer? I've been to Vegas in the summer in July. It is hot. You could probably do it, I'm guessing, in Wisconsin or Minnesota, since they have a ton of rinks. And they have whatever the Drew League's version of a hockey tournament in Minnesota. So you could and plus Minnesota is like in the middle of both Canada and U.S. geographically, but there's lots of unanswered questions that these leagues have to deal with, and it's just very tough. Let's just put it that way. I don't know what's going to happen next, but hopefully I can turn on the TV or stream on my devices a game, granted, fanless, but hopefully I can either watch my Lakers, watch my Dodgers, or watch playoff hockey. It's just, what is holding each side back between the Players Association of each leagues and the owners of teams in each league? It's just logistics, money, and health and safety, which is the biggest one actually. So you never know. I agree that there's lots of, like I said, I keep coming back to things because they're unanswered questions that we, the general public, doesn't know. And you can go on Twitter and write your little proposals and just brainstorm, but that's it. You're brainstorming, you're having fun. You want structure. The NBA and ESPN pushed the Last Dance documentary from June, when the finals were supposed to be playing, or the conference finals and the finals in late May, June, so right around now actually, to roughly a month ago, because they were starving for content. And without sports, a lot of just weird psychological feelings happen. It was really nice to see like people talk about basketball and all that, and it was very interesting. I obviously was not born and not well enough to know what Jordan did, so it was kind of nice to see all ends, because you hear stories and all that, which is a podcast for another time. I mean, the 30 for 30 podcasts, it's really good. Jalen Jacoby had the director of The Last Dance on, and had in-depth conversations like certain like behind the scenes stuff, and then they did a reflecting piece just this last Monday, the week of data recording, and asked, why not 11? Why not 20? Why not stagger them out? Well, it's just he wanted to get his point across this way, and I don't blame him. And you don't mess with a good thing. It's just quite impressive. Let's put it that way. Another thing that you have, it's just really weird right now to see a 7:30 time slot, either Fox Sports, Prime Ticket, Spectrum Sportsnet, both regular and LA, to have no games on at like 7. It's really weird for this time of year, because right now I could be doing a podcast in a different area, but I'm in the White Dungeon. I feel kind of happy. That's it for this one. Thank you all for watching. If you're on YouTube, click like if you like this video. Hit subscribe if you're new. Tell all your friends by sharing the link and join notifications in the notification squads. If you're on an audio network, Buzzsprout, Deezer, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it, leave me a review. You can either or heck, if you're on TuneIn, which I didn't mention at the top of the show, you can just go on and do, "Hey Alexa, play That's So Kings the podcast." Same thing if you have a Google Home Mini, you just shout it out. If you have any ideas on that, I don't have a Google Home, so I'm not one to try it out myself. But all in all, that is it for this episode. Thank you all for listening and watching. Tune in next time, hopefully, for episode 6, where we actually do more trade trees. And this time, you might get a special 2-for-1 because I want to. I'll see you in another video and podcast. Goodbye.